Dabo presents Bullseye Sports, keeping Detroit on target. Hosted by James Wardell, Mark Jones, and Reggie Walker.
Welcome. This is May 28th, Detroit Bullseye Sports. We are also here with Jack Barkwell.
What up, Detroit?
Now, this is my favorite time of year. You got the NBA coming to a close. You're down to 4 teams. By Thursday, you'll probably be down to 2. On my feed, I saw a couple of when the Pistons lost Game 7 to the Celtics was around this time when the Pistons also had the Bird Stole the Ball game was also around this time. So this is when you separate the pretenders from the contenders from the pretenders. Now it appears that we're going to have an NBA final of Thunder and Pacers. Are you excited for that?
I am, honestly, because I know that Adam Silver, the advertising partners, are probably not super excited about it, but this just happens to be 2 of the best teams in the NBA. And I think what you mentioned before we went on air is really important. It's a clash of 2 distinct styles. It's high-powered offense versus a very incredibly strong defense. Of course, they have a strong offense too. They won 68 games for a reason in Oklahoma City, but I think it's a matchup of 2 of the best, two of the better, if not best, point guards in the league. I think Indiana has some interesting pieces, young pieces. I think Oklahoma City, if this result holds and that's the finals that we get, I do think Oklahoma City is going to win in probably 5 or 6 games because I think the overall talent level is higher. But I think this is kind of the most exciting series that we could have asked for, at least from an actual basketball standpoint. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be exciting to still have the Knicks in, especially with how hype Knicks fans are and have been. I think the memes and videos, if the Knicks made the finals, especially if they won the finals, would be incredible. But I just don't think that that type of stuff should affect the fact that we're going to have an incredible finals, and that it should be one of the higher watched, even though it probably won't be just because of the markets and the teams involved.
Well, let's be real. I think we're going to have a watch for all the Knicks fans that have been talking all this orange and blue skies bull crap that they thought they were going to the finals. Plays, I think about 9-10 players.
Mm-hmm.
And these games, they've had at least 5 or 6 in double figures.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you look at the way the OKC was playing the Timberwolves, they were selling all out. They were selling all out to stop Anthony Edwards. I don't think with this team you're going to be able to do that. I think you're going to play more straight up.
Yeah, I think OKC has a lot of weapons. I do want to touch a little bit on the narrative about that last game from Ant. Because I see both sides. I can obviously see the side where fans and pundits and observers can say he wasn't aggressive enough or he needed to do more, he needed to shoot more. But I mean, they scored 126 points against the best defense in the league. He had 10 or 11 assists and 7 or 8 rebounds. They asked him after the game, why? He said, I was taking what the defense gave me and trying to make the right play. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, he did. It just happened that OKC is just really, really good. And Shea had a 40-point game. Could you make the argument if Ant had taken more shots and made some more shots? I don't know. We have a superstar that plays the game like LeBron, where you're not necessarily looking to. Well, you don't have to be the one taking the shot every single time, every single play. You know it's a team game. You know you need to get your teammates involved. You know you can't do everything. But I think the fact that it was juxtaposed against Shea almost having a triple double, I think is is pushing a lot of this narrative. And it doesn't help that they're down 3-1, and everybody wants to have this face of the league conversation with Ant and Shea. And, I just think it's a lot of narrative more so than actually watching the game and looking at the outcome and how he actually played.
Well, I'll say this. If you want to blame somebody, Anthony Edwards might not be the one. It might be Chris Finch for not designing some type of plays after you see what they were running, designing some type of plays to get him free. And, Julius Randle didn't have a great game either. His number 2 that had been supporting him, I think, doing a good job supporting him.
Yeah.
But, they just didn't have it. And I think, running into a Thunder juggernaut, things like this are going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, I would like to see with the Thunder Pacers where you have a Tyrese Halliburton. Forget the big man's name. I'm looking at it. You've got a lot of guards that can shoot.
Yeah, Turner can shoot.
Turner, that's it. And you've got, Neesmith, Shepard,
TJ McConnell's been
TJ McConnell. You've got all these guys that can shoot. And they don't need to rely on one person all the time. So I think it will be a good series.
Yeah, I think it is a well-deserved series for fans. It feels like it's been a long season, but yeah, I think 5 to 7 high-level games between young teams that are going to be flying up down the court is just what the game needs. And I think it's also a clash of styles because OKC doesn't necessarily live and die by the 3 like a lot of teams mold themselves to become. They certainly take a good amount of threes, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same volume, at least stylistically, that everybody else does. So I just think it'll be really interesting to watch.
And they come in waves too. Mm-hmm. There were guys who did not play against Denver, but are having real strong roles in this final series. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to run out of energy in this series because they both play a lot of players, and we knew it was going to come to doom the Knicks, and it almost did in the Pistons series. And if you look at that, losing the game by 1 point, right, 2 points, and 3 points at home, the Knicks, with a bounce here or there, could have not made it out of the first round.
Right
now. Does the league want 2 small market teams? These are probably, with Memphis, the smallest 2 markets in the NBA.
The Pacers market is so small. The Fever had a higher average attendance last season than the Pacers did this season. In fact, the Fever, I believe, had higher. I know it was higher than 5 teams. I don't remember if OKC was one of them, but I know their brother team was one of them.
But I'll say this: I'll call it Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
Right.
Because
very true.
No Caitlin Clark, they're not going to draw.
Yeah, they're not drawing anybody in the next couple of weeks.
But both of them are in the central time zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. I think it'll be a good series. But, they just watch out. Jalen Brunson might draw about 20 fouls tomorrow because
that's the thing I'm worried about. Not worried because obviously, they're not going to be able to throw 6 games and everybody just sit there and take it. But yeah, there's distinct air of the NBA going, oh God, what is happening? Because even if OKC were in Seattle right now, still that'd be a much bigger market than OKC. And I mean, I think this is one of the unintended consequences of the draft and the lottery and free agency is, most of these guys, most of the vets don't necessarily want to sign with these small market teams. But when they're bad for so long, and then they collect assets and they draft well, and they, because their scouting is so advanced, because they know we're not getting guys to come here. Well, now we're sitting up here, we have the possibility of the next 4 to 5 years being dominated by Cleveland, Indiana, and Oklahoma City. So I know the league is sick at that prospect. And I mean, you throw Detroit in there too. I mean, Detroit is, I love Detroit, we love Detroit, but it's a fairly small, medium market.
I would call it a mid-market, because, and I look at this too, the Pacers were drafted right behind the Pistons a lot of times. Pistons took Jaden Ivey, they took Benedict Matthews. So they've got a lot of young talent that they molded to their own style, and it works. So, out of all the 4 teams, New York probably plays the most boring style.
Agreed.
And, if you go style-wise, you don't want them in there. But if you go, all those crazies, because they have not won since 1973. Now, all the other teams in the playoffs that are still left have not won at all, right? So, technically, you could say the Thunder won when they were Seattle Supersonics.
True.
But is this a deal like Cleveland where the Supersonics kept all those records?
I believe the Supersonics are their own distinct franchise still. Because they are not calling. They're saying this is the second finals appearance in franchise history. So it's technically their own thing. But Minnesota's never even been to a finals. Has Indiana been to a finals? Indiana's been to a final one.
Lakers won.
That's right. So I mean, I love the fact that we're getting new teams and like new jerseys that people will see, and seeing teams that they haven't watched a lot. I mean, even though Shea was MVP, he plays at 9:00 most nights. If they're not on national TV, they're not on anybody's radar. Nobody lives in nobody, but there aren't that many people in Oklahoma City.
Indiana is unique because Indiana is a basketball hotbed.
Right.
So you really just can't say Indianapolis, that whole state will be watching.
Yes.
But even there, it's not as big as New York.
Exactly.
So,
and it's different. It's not like, it's not like where they're the Braves or the Cubs, they're on a national channel, they have a national base. They just have those very dedicated fans in Indiana, which is awesome. And again, I think this in general is a good thing for the league. It spreads out the base of power a bit. It takes, it eliminates at least the obvious thought that, the only teams that are going to be good are New York and Chicago and LA teams, Miami, Boston. So I think it's good for the league long term, but the advertising partners and the league probably aren't like super excited about it. But what do you think is a bigger issue for the league? The quote unquote health of the league, state of the league stuff, or ratings for 3 weeks in May?
Steadily, it'll be a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Right.
In June. Yeah. But fun fact, there's not a nonstop from OKC to Indianapolis.
Really?
No. So I would
So there's not going to be a whole lot of visiting fans.
Well, if I were Southwest, I would say that I would probably pick up a flight back and forth during game days.
Yeah.
Or maybe most of these 2 weeks that they play.
Right.
I assume you could make some money with some rabid fans from both places.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, Southwest can use some goodwill. I mean, getting rid of the bag stuff. Yeah, I just think it's a gift and a curse, but I think it's much bigger of a gift than it is a curse. I think it's really only a talking point for like people like us, people in the media. Stephen A is going to say something about, they're two small market teams or whatever, but
probably want to get Thibodeau fired.
Exactly. So I think we're in a good place, and I think we are going to reap the benefits of this finals.
Now I might pay for this one later, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. What can the Knicks and the T-Wolves? What do they need to do to get in the next level?
Okay. I think the Knicks answer is a bit easier because to me, it has a simple solution, and that is you need a new head coach. I think they have a pretty balanced roster, at least from the pieces that are on the roster, but you can't really tell if they work well together because Tim's don't play the bench enough. I think the Cat for Randall trade, was one of the rare trades that worked out for both teams. Obviously they both made the conference finals. But I really just think the Knicks are gassed. And one, they're gassed, and two, Tibbs keeps making, goofy stuff. Actually, I can actually give a little background on it too, because I'm going to steal this from a creator I saw on TikTok. But the way that they run their offense when Brunson is on the floor versus when he's off the floor is completely different. And obviously, Jalen Brunson is an incredible player, and I'm not remotely advocating for getting rid of him or doing that. All I'm saying is that the offense seems to open up a lot more. There's less isolation. There's more drive and kick. There's more catch and shoot threes. Instead of kind of watching Jalen work his magic, which again, he's an incredible player. But I think if they can get into their sets a little quicker, if they can get the offense moving a little quicker, you can serve a little bit of energy on that end. You get a coach that will play 8 or 9 instead of 6 or 7. I think they're not too far away.
But I heard this. I think it was Jason Williams that said if you look at their starting lineup, can Brunson get any better?
I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest. He's a pretty complete player.
Yeah.
He's
defensively he's challenged.
Yeah. But I mean he's but he's 6'3". The outside shot is there.
Can Karl Anthony Towns get better? I mean,
I don't know.
See, you have to look at it from this aspect. He says he's the best shooting big man ever.
Right.
Never mentioned going inside. He's going inside the Pistons series and this series at times. Well, other times, no. And OG Anunoby, can he get better?
I think OG has the most room to get better, but I think he's the furthest from reaching whatever potential he's got to. I think OG is a really talented player, but I think he also has to figure out what his role is and what kind of player he's going to be, and then focus on that. Like, is he going to be the stopper? Okay, well then just turn into the stopper. Are you the third offensive option? Well then you need to add a little bit more to your game.
Because if you don't have Mitchell Robinson in there, you have no inside threat.
We don't know what the depth, but they need a rim protector because Cat not that. Bridges, I think, still has some room to get a little bit better, but not a ton.
But you paid 5 number ones, 4 unprotected for him. That, I guess I'm upset. All the goodwill that Scott Perry did in turning those assets into draft picks, you put 5 of them on Bridges.
Your third-ish option.
And you have to look at the Brooklyn Nets, because how many did they get for Kevin? 3?
Mm-hmm.
So they've got 8 picks other than their own in the next little bit. Now, New York probably would be good enough, but Phoenix, you might luck up and get a lottery pick out of that.
It's interesting, but like I said, I think they're held back more by lack of depth or lack of playable, what Tibbs considers playable depth. I just think they're gassed. I mean, Mikal Bridges hasn't had a game off in his entire basketball career. Other than that game where he started and only played a second so that he could still keep his streak going. Mikal Bridges has not had a day off since before he started playing high school basketball.
I think they really missed Dante DiVincenzo.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard of a trade that they would trade Kevin Durant for Karl-Anthony Towns and somebody else. Would you make that trade if you were them? Now Durant is, I think it'll be 37 starting next year. Has had a history of injuries.
I mean, Durant is better than Karl-Anthony Towns. A lot better? Probably still, but that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Cat isn't necessarily brittle. Like, he doesn't necessarily get hurt a lot. He does, and I'm not blaming this on him at all, but he does seem to miss a lot of games for the other stuff.
And he's hurt right now.
Yes.
If you saw this, he's hurt right now.
He's for sure.
It would not surprise me if he didn't play.
Yeah, he's for sure hurt right now.
But the only thing in Cat's favor, his age is roughly around the age of the other stars.
Exactly.
Whereas Kevin Durant is out there.
And he's already paid, or he has 2 or 3 years left on that deal, that extension he signed.
Yeah, you're going to trade somebody else with Cat.
Yeah.
And
then you still got to pay Kevin.
Yeah, you probably got to take in a second team.
Well, yeah, you got to give Kevin $60 million. If LeBron's about to get 53 and Steph's getting 56 or whatever it is, you about to pony up $60 million for a rental of Kevin Durant.
Cat might be the best player to get you 2 players back.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But what do the Timberwolves need?
Ant to wear a condom. Honestly, I don't know if that's really if it's just a genuine distraction. It clearly has not affected his play. I mean, but I think it's less actual skill that they need to get better. Obviously, there are things that they all need to work on and get better at. But I think it's just being more mature and being, I can't say, I don't want to say better leader because it doesn't look like Ant is a poor leader. It looks like he's actually strides he can make in maturity and as well. Obviously, they went in at a pretty high clip. But I would like to see him attack the basket more.
I'm going to say this, I probably shouldn't, but you said it first, so I'm just going to go in on it. I think a lot of these young players need to get a reversible vasectomy.
Uh-huh.
And
especially the youngest ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason that you impregnate 5 women.
At 24. It's insane.
And there's going to another one, there's no reason that at 23 you impregnate a 40-year-old.
Come on.
who has a son your age.
Come on. Come on.
You know, I know about boys having their fun.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, because you got to realize that when these women have babies by you, they've won the lottery.
That's right.
Showed it.
And
You got that right.
18 years worth of lottery.
Yeah.
you know,
You got to pay.
you
You got to
said
kick in.
you could sign a contract for infinity, but you don't want to spread it over, you know, all these babies' mamas.
And I mean, even with well, especially we're talking about Ann, even though, and I didn't even not know this was possible, that you can pay 18 years of child support up front. Brother, you can't keep doing that over and over and over again. Eventually the money gonna run out. I know you got 200 something before taxes, but brother, it can still run out. We have seen it happen.
Yes, because let's face it, you'll be lucky to play till you're 40, maybe 37, 38.
Right.
So you've got to, you know, if you're going to live at least to 80, you've got 40 more years that you had to prepare for. You just can't be out here, you know.
And we don't know if he's going to end up with a $1 billion Adidas deal. It's certainly possible, you know. He's on that trajectory.
But then won't they ask for more money?
Of course. Yep. And then it just keeps going up. It's dangerous. It's a bad precedent. You know, people always bring it up and laugh at the word choice. But when they had that rookie symposium for the NFL, and they had Chris Carter come and talk about have a fall guy and wrap it up. Yeah, it's a little ignorant to hear for an outsider, but we trying to protect these young men's career. They got to stop doing stupid stuff. Now they're adults, they're young adults, sure. And in the NBA, they're barely adults. They're legally adults.
We don't need any more fatherless children in the black.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
We don't.
Right. In the black.
Cringy to bring all the information about Anthony Edwards' personal life that I do know. Everything I've learned about him and his deals with women, I've learned against my will. And I think that he just needs to go in a bunker for. And it's crazy when you watch the documentary, he makes it sound like he don't even want to do nothing. Like all he want to do is hoop and play. Where is he finding the time and energy to do all of this impregnating if he don't ever leave the house? Something's not adding up.
Well, I think summertime is fun time.
Man. Well, that's true.
I thought, because I watched Starting Five, that he's living with his first baby mother.
Right. But what's she gonna say? I guess, clearly, I guess,
If he loves her, she needs to have enough to know. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's a bit closer to cheaper to keep her situation. Although for him, it's not. We now know the exact dollar amount.
This time, next time it might be different. She might want more.
That's crazy.
Yep.
But let's get off.
More than likely,
Edwards.
she's going to want more.
I think they need a solid number two.
You don't think Randall is?
He is and he isn't. Some days he is, some days he's not. Last night he was. Not last night, but 2 nights ago he was.
They could have left him. They could have left him in the locker room.
So
and Rudy is nothing offensively.
But I think they're closer because they've got Terrence Shannon, who they really didn't use this year.
Yeah, I forgot all about him.
They've got Rob Dillingham,
that's true.
who they didn't use at all this year. So I think they're closer.
I agree with that. I forgot all about him.
And they might lose Conley, but you might slot Dillingham right into that slot.
Yep.
Now,
I think they need either a lot more from Julius Randle, or they try to flip him for a legit number two. But I agree. I don't think he's there yet. I think he could get there. I just don't know if that's on their timeline.
Yeah. He's got to stop dribbling as much as he dribbles, I think. that causes problems.
Yeah, I think him being the man in New York those years, while clearly beneficial for his game, I think it did a number on his decision making and his view of himself. I think he just, which you should be supremely confident in your abilities. But I think he thinks he's that guy, and you're actually this number two to that guy, and you need to be a little bit more deferential. But it's tough, sometimes there's just not enough basketballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah. Well, now let's take it a step further. What do the Pistons need to do to get in this range?
Close out games.
What if you had to add one or two players? What type of player would they be?
So, for purposes of this discussion, we'll just act like I'm not going to say Ivy because that's the obvious. I think that technically is the obvious answer, at least to me. But I think they need a wing that is more than the sum of like your Beasley, Tim Hardaway concoction.
Two-way.
Yeah. I like Beasley, don't get me wrong. I think I want him to come back. He's got a role, but if he's not, he shouldn't be, the number two. I think Tobias will come back and play the old man role, but he can't be your number two. Duran's limited offensively, he's not your number two. Is it Ivy? I just don't think we've seen enough yet. I think that's the answer they want it to be.
I hope so.
But if not, I mean, Devin Booker is the perfect answer. I think he becomes. I don't know if he's okay with being a number two. To a guy that he's older than and has more accomplishments than, but Book is the perfect, especially if he leans into the two-way player he showed he could be in the Olympics, and turn to continue setting the best. I think that's the perfect candidate. I don't know. I think the Pistons are really close. Again, I think I've said this a couple of weeks in a row, but I think they need Ivy back and see what that looks like.
Yeah. And for the playoffs, you're missing Isaiah Stewart too.
Yes,
but I think they need a scoring big on the bench.
Okay.
I don't think I love Fontecchio.
Right.
I love what he did in Utah. He did, but he really didn't do that this year.
No.
Do you need a John Collins? Somebody like that?
I like a John Collins because especially if you've got Duran and Stu, you don't need another you don't need a defensive-minded big. You can go after, like you said, John Collins or Naz Reid, somebody with a developed offensive game.
Yeah.
That can spread the floor a bit, but can put his back to the basket, back somebody down just a little bit. Doesn't have to be, Kareem down there. But just to be able to keep the defense honest on both inside and outside. I think that plus either continued improvement from Ivy or them going out and getting booked. But I don't necessarily see them making that type of splash.
Yeah, he would cost you Ivy and probably Stewart.
Yeah, and probably a pick too. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's price Trajan wants to pay. But I think those would be the perfect candidates.
I'm gonna say this in the mic, and I'm looking at Cameron Trajan. Please don't go after Zion.
No.
Please don't.
And the problem with that is Zion is another answer to that question in a perfect world, but he can't stay healthy, he can't stop eating, so he would have to show it to me for another year or two.
Yeah, again, he looked good at the draft when he was representing the Pelicans,
right?
But
it's about to be summertime in New Orleans.
We've got our voices of the people stepping up. We got to get people on.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's not fair.
What up, Detroit?
What's up, Q?
This is Hollywood Q. I think the Pistons should go make a serious effort. You're going to have to get rid of some players, but I go for Mutombo.
For who?
Mutombo.
Who?
I mean, not Mutombo.
You about to grade,
Giannis. I mean Giannis.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sorry, Jalen and these two and Tim Hardaway, maybe even Beasley. We're going to have to holler back at you. Because you want to make a serious push. And you talking about a dominant player that can take over a game when you need it. Because you think we had him in that New York series, man, that dude would have been over.
Now, I'll say this. If you do that, for the pieces you talked about, what will you have left? You have Cade.
What you need, other Cade, Giannis, and
Ivy.
I ain't no way in the world that I still gonna be on that team. And now you try to get Giannis. Plus, first, you gotta make the money match to begin with. So that's 5 or 6 players just to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
He would not. I'll say this. He would be the only one. I would kick the tires to see what they were looking for that I might think about trading up some of your core to get.
Is Cade, Giannis, Beasley on well, he's not gonna take. That's the thing. Ain't nobody taking a minimum, or one of those things. No, he's taking.
They might take Thompson.
Yeah, you have to.
If you look at Jaden, Ivy, Isaiah Stewart, and Sir Thompson, and some draft picks.
Is Cade, Giannis, and Flotsam and Jetsam enough to win an NBA championship? I don't think so. No. It's still a pretty good team because Cade and Giannis are incredible. But that I don't know. I just don't know what the rest of the roster would look like.
You don't want to gut it too much that you don't have any.
Right, you want to replace the players, of course.
But I think the key this summer will be how much improvement you get out of Ron Holland Jr. and Sir Thompson. If they can work with Fred Vince and get the shots right.
Yeah.
Fred spread a look. Can you teach 4 people to shoot in one offseason at the same time?
You might. Well, look at it this way. I believe that Jaden Ivey was working on his shot.
Sure. Yeah. He's shooting like 40-something%.
And
from the 3.
Yep.
Sir could not work last summer, because of the blood clot issue.
That's right. Yep.
And I don't know if Holland got in time to work also. Sure. But that'll be interesting. But
sure. You could, if you do get Giannis, you're gonna have to put some more players to go with him, right? But I mean, it's just an interesting thought, Detroit.
I'm not dismissing it.
You talk about selling out the stadium.
Depends on who you have to give up.
Yeah, I would have to see what could possibly.
I keep Doring. I wouldn't let Doring go though.
I mean, I guess you could probably do 3 picks and a couple players. No, but it's the money because Giannis signed an extension.
Yeah.
Or wait, is he already on an extension? Or is he's already? Well, yeah, I think he's already getting $40-50 million or something. So yeah, he's due to get paid again. So you gotta make the money match to begin with, and then you gotta pay him again. I don't know. I mean, I see where your head is at, and I could kind of see the shadows of it, but I would have to see what you can put around it.
Yeah, and what you gonna give away?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't left.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out here real quick. And I saw this debated on national TV today. Is Tyrese Halliburton a superstar? Now, before you answer, he's the only player ever to have 35, 15, and 10.
And 5 threes and no turnovers.
And no turnovers, yes.
I saw a stat. He threw 77 passes for, I guess, the equivalent of 444 yards, and no interceptions, no turnovers.
Wow.
They compared him to the best quarterback performances without any interceptions. I think Tyrese Halliburton is a superstar. I think it. Well, he's absolutely a star. I think it depends on your definition of superstar.
Is he at the LeBron level? No.
Is he even at the Shea, Jokic, Doncic level currently? No.
No.
Is he on the Cade level?
Well, if he gets to
Fine.
if he gets to final gold medals,
Right.
but no finals.
But the signature shoe has, commercials and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Everybody, a lot more people know who Ant is than Hallie currently, this very moment.
Now, someone said you're a superstar if the fans of the opposing team don't want to see their team, but will come out and see you.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Now, who would you put in that category?
Must see TV. Like if the Pistons were whack, who would I go pay money to see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I think that's a slightly different list. It's Bron, Luka, Steph, Jokic. I would put. Well, see, this is where it gets kind of weird because I think Jalen Brunson is a superstar pretty close to it. I'm not about to pay extra to see him, though. You know what I'm saying? I think Trae Young is a superstar I think Trae Young is a star.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't pay extra for him.
I wouldn't pay it.
Jokic, Steph,
probably cheap.
Bron, yeah. I would pay extra to see Ant.
Yeah. Now, last year, I did want to go see Ant.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him. Mm-hmm. I did want to go see the two guys in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brown and Tatum. Saw him.
Yeah.
I did. Well, this is an anomaly because I just love his game. Russell Westbrook.
He's a superstar.
I went and saw him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to.
Well, he's a former superstar.
Well,
which still gets some people.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just ain't going to see him.
That's real. Yeah, maybe not currently, but yeah, I feel you.
Well, I'm being totally honest. It happened on Greek night, so that was Greek.
Sure.
Okay.
But Jokic.
Jokic, yeah.
I would pay extra to Jokic, yeah.
And Luka, I guess.
But see, I would pay extra.
But Luka, you had to be worried, is he gonna be hurt?
Is he gonna show up? But the same as I was about to say Zion. But even though
that was one too.
I would pay extra to see Zion show up.
And I think I was burned.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
But
yeah.
John Morant.
Yes, John, absolutely.
John Morant. I'll pay to see him. Yeah.
He's excited. But I think Hallie is getting close to that level though, because he is a showman. I think he is perfectly comfortable being nerdy and being a little awkward, but I think he recognizes that he's in the entertainment business. That the choke sign almost backfired on him, but the fact that he had the presence of mind to know I hit that shot. He thought it was a game winner, but knew the point at Reggie, knew the point at Spike, and he practiced it. Yeah, the moment is not too big for him. I think he's like right there. I think if they get to the finals and he can hold his own against Shea, I'm not saying that he even have to win. I'm basically as good as this dude that y'all just named MVP. I think his star is going to skyrocket this year.
Competitive series.
Yeah. I think, and I also think that counterintuitively, I think that him not playing in the Olympics, but not complaining about it, is also going to help because people go back and talk about, Tyrese Halliburton got a gold medal. Why you can do that? And then they'll go and look like, oh, yeah, he was a good teammate. He did what he had to do. he was, the worst player on a team of superstars, and now he's at worst, he's a top 15 player in the league right now.
But I think that got him experience.
Yep.
Because you next time in LA, I don't know if you can have LeBron, I don't know if you can have Steph,
Right.
I don't know if you can have KD.
Right.
So a lot of these guys are coming in and getting that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We have had a lot of basketball talks today. So let's take about a 2-minute break, and we will come back and get to Tigers talk.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Jack, I went to the Tiger game. Past Rod. I've been a Tiger fan, been in Tiger Stadium, been Comerica Park. I was on third base, on the third row.
There you go.
Third base.
Oh, yeah.
But it rained. That's the game they lost 7-0.
That's the wrong time to be on the third base.
Right. Me and Pastor Rob, we Tiger fans, right? So we was talking about when we was kids, how we going back day, glove day,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and
Those days, circle on the count.
That's right.
yeah, and we finally get a chance to get down there, neither one has never been that close.
Right.
We finally get down there. And so here Pastor Rob, so we say, Lord, for real. But we had to over.
There you go. Whatever it takes. Yeah, because I still got to get. I'm a Yankees fan, but they came, it's April.
Yeah.
So me and my mom always go when they come to town.
Yeah.
But it was gonna snow. I was like, oh no. She's like, but they're not coming back. We gotta go. So we went. We left the third. I was like, because that was the game where Ben Rice got thrown out at home, and then Rodon gave up the home run immediately next inning. And I was like, well, it's snowing, it's freezing, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
We tried.
Now, usually it's either too cold or you go to a game, it's too hot. Because I've been in games, if you didn't wear a hat and glasses, something would be beating.
Yeah, it ain't fun sitting out there.
It ain't fun
Just
like
being
that.
hot.
So like me and my wife go, we go to the evening game.
Yeah.
We try to go to anytime we go to the evening game. It ain't right, there ain't no forecast.
Right.
Might be a little, red jacket.
It's at 1 o'clock.
Well, hot, but damn. Who's that look? That's John Podcast. No, I was going to say that was right. I was going to say that was either a weather report or one of them. John Podcast. Oh, they were back.
Is that the first big All-NBA this year?
I think he was.
Because one that did not, that cost him a lot of money, was Jeremy Jefferson.
Yeah.
He might be available in the trade.
Which one is that? I think I had that before. Named up.
Yeah, he does.
The 4 guards.
That's named up too.
Cunningham, Halliburton, Harden, with Danny
He's a
Green.
great win. I'm second
I just see him coming.
26, 25, 17.
All right, we're back. And it's time for Tiger Talk. The Tiger series with the Guardians a problem or a bump in the road? They lost 3 out of 4 to the Guardians. They redeemed themselves by winning all 3 games against the Giants this week. But the Guardians are in our division. I think currently second place. Tigers still have the best record in baseball.
Yes.
But I guess what happened in the Guardian series? Guardians.
I think it's probably a combination of things. I think one is it's not easy to beat teams in your division, especially when both of your rosters haven't changed demonstrably from the year prior. I think that because this was a road series too.
Oh,
No, they were
It
on.
was home. Yes, it's home.
I think that they have had a lot of success at home, but you're not going to be what they currently are is 13. You're not going to be, 13, 14, 15 games over 500 at home the whole season. Well, maybe you will, but it's not going to last the entire length of the season.
No.
You're going to have bad series. I think it's more just a bump in the road. I think that the body of work that they've displayed shows that they're a good team. Are there certainly things they can work on? Sure. But I mean, they are fourth in all of Major League Baseball in runs scored. They've got a 84 run differential, which is second in the league, only behind the Yankees. So, yeah, I think it's a good team. I think the Tigers are a good team with a couple of reinforcements coming off the injury list.
mm-hmm.
I think that as it warms up, the pitching will continue to round into shape.
And the pitching hadn't been that bad.
Yeah.
Until the Guardian series.
Right.
All the games that Jackson Jobe started, they won.
Mm-hmm. I think brother Jack needs to tighten up a little.
Yeah.
He's not making us look good out there. But like I said, I think that they're playing good baseball. They play aggressive baseball. They play smart baseball. I mean, they're a good team. They're 17 games over 500 right now. They're 6 games up in the division. I think there's still a ton to like about this team. Are they playing the greatest right now? No, but the sweep of the Giants, I think, is huge. Giants are a good team, actually with Bruce, but a really good team. And good teams beat good teams.
Yeah.
And those are all 3 games, low-scoring games. 3-1 Monday, 3-1 Tuesday, 4-3 today. Those are the games, and in the past, the Tigers lost.
Yeah.
And this year, they're winning. The Guardians is a bump in the road. But Winsell Perez came back this week. Hit a home run his first game.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say this, and Meadows is close to coming back. I think Verlander might be the odd man out if he keeps on getting injured.
It's possible. It's extremely possible.
I just do.
Best ability.
Because the Perez has a little pop in his bat, has some speed. Meadows definitely has some speed.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that the Tigers are lacking right now, because they're 30th out of 30 teams, is in stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get that and manufacture some runs, that's going to make them look even better.
And we know they want to. We know AJ wants them to run. They've run before. They just have a little bit less team speed. So I think, but I also think that is leading to them being a bit less aggressive. I think AJ recognizes we're pretty good. We shouldn't be losing runs on the base paths, especially with, guys that they're currently throwing out. But I mean, the Tigers are 10-5 in 1-run games, which is essentially the best record in baseball. They are 2-3 in extra inning games, so that's the one kind of split that you don't really love, but you don't love going to extras anyway.
It's a crapshoot now with the runner on second base. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're almost as good during the day as they are at night. their expected wins and losses. They're basically at where they're supposed to be. I think they're a legit team. And yeah, go ahead, Q.
Well, I want to talk about the Guardians. They had a lack of runs, support. Like even when Flaherty pitched, that for Flaherty, they got to give him some runs, man. They didn't give him no run support,
Right.
and he got down 3-0, and after that, he pitched. I think he pitched 6 innings.
Yeah,
and he shut him down, but they didn't give him no support.
Yeah.
Now,
they're gonna do better. They're gonna do better.
Did he get a win last night?
He got a win last night.
Yeah, Flaherty got the win last night. He pitched a lot. He had been having a little problem with his ball being too straight and being hit. But I think these last 2 starts, that was a lot better. And
you have to pick it up too.
I remember last year when you've got Green, Perez, and Meadows out there.
Yeah.
It's like 3 center fielders. It's just like they got it on lock.
Yes.
I think that they might go back to that.
Tigers have scored either 3 runs or less in 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's quickly turning into the Rick Porcello memorial. We don't get enough runs when you pitch pitcher for the Tigers. But I mean, yeah. Other than the Texas start where I was at, I mean, he's pitched fairly well. 5 2/3, 6 2/3, 6. He's given up 2 home runs since the Texas start. He had 8 strikeouts in the last 2 starts. Like he's pitching much better. But I think he's got a little Rodon in him, which is he gives up a home run fairly early, or he usually gives up either a raggy inning or a home run where you go, where the heck did that come from?
Verlander
Verlander will do that too. Garrett Cole does it. You get the jitters out, you get the 1 weak ball out of the way, and then you shut them down.
You got to get them early.
But you got to get them early. Yeah. But I think they're good, man. I think that they are besides that, they're surprising a lot of people. I just think that they're genuinely a better baseball team with better baseball players than we thought at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. And when you can consistently come out with a good pitcher, give you 5, 6 innings, that's a whole, last year with the bullpen by committee, you didn't know whether it's going to get hit up or, whatever. But this year, they've been doing very well with the pitching. Now, Casey Mize went on the injured list. He's back. He pitched fairly well on Friday, or I believe, against the Indians. And Reese Olson is now on the 15-day DL. Now, I forget his name. I know Bruce got on me about that, but they're Kaiser Montero. Is pitching well in spots.
He's pitching well.
So as a sixth starter, he's doing well. So they've got a little backup.
And you say your bullpen.
Mm-hmm. The bullpen for the Giants, I did not, as of today, they had not played. I didn't watch the last couple of innings. So their bullpen didn't even get out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I mean, just looking at the underlying numbers a little bit, Montero is experiencing a little bit of bad luck. Job is experiencing a little bit of bad luck. Their fielding, independent pitching numbers are higher than their current ERA, so they're probably just have been a little bit unlucky with defense and batted balls. But this is best record in baseball. They've got like we mentioned, we talked about this since the season started. I think that six-man rotation is important. It has allowed them to use the young guys effectively. It allows them to pitch at full effort every time they go out because they know they get an extra day of rest. It also helps when you've got the best pitcher, basically the best pitcher in baseball. Therese Skubal did through the white whale of baseball, which was a complete game shutout last week. So and it took him like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I mean, he's just on another planet right now.
And it was a game where they definitely needed it.
They definitely need
You
that.
lost 3 straight.
Yep,
You didn't want to get swept at home.
right.
So he came in and did the job. He didn't let anybody else finish it. He did it himself.
Yeah,
Closed the game on throwing 103.
that pitch was out, man.
Last pitch of his outing was 103.
Was 103 miles.
He's on another planet right now. Oh, I have a question. It came up in one of my group chats. I know we talked a bit last week about the pizza man's money situation. How much pizza money is Scott Boras going to ask for Therese Kugel?
I think I've heard between 400 and 500 million.
Woo! Pizza man gonna pay that?
I don't know. But I'll say this. What are you gonna do?
Well, that's the $64,000 question, because right now you have the best record in baseball, which means you have to buy at the deadline. It's not like they can trade him. You know what I'm saying? If the city
They go crazy.
It burned Comerica down. So
You got that right. If they trade
You know, and look at the luck they've had with trading. I was talking to somebody, and look at the luck they've had with trading.
either trading or not trading.
Verlander, what do you have now? You have Jake Rogers, because Dax Cameron did not make it here.
Right.
He's bouncing around, I think, with Philadelphia, maybe in the minor leagues. I forget the pitcher's name, but Franklin Perez, I think he retired. So there's nothing really to show. And I like Jake Rogers.
Yep.
But Jake Rogers for Justin Verlander just doesn't make it. No. You look at what happened with Scherzer.
Right.
Yeah.
The only one that they did right was Price. And I don't even know if they got the best return for Price that they could have.
Well, now they gave up to start Willie Adames to get Price.
Mm-hmm.
For Price, they got Boyd and
That's right.
I forget he won Rookie of the Year. The other pitcher.
Yeah, that was a former, was it?
Yeah, Phil Fulmer. That's the coach of the Evolves.
Right.
And even with Scherzer, it wasn't a trade, but they signed Scherzer and we signed Zimmerman. We got the worst of that deal
By far.
By far.
By far.
So, I don't know.
If I were Scott Harris, I would be in a check. Whatever they ask for, just sign it. We're not going to do too much negotiating. Maybe, we won't give him 6 or whatever, but you have to sign it.
Yeah.
Do not let him walk.
You hear all these nerds.
Unless they win the World Series this year, and then you could maybe justify it.
I would never pay anybody that money, or you could get a lot of players in a trade. You could, but you could also get people that don't work out, and then that's a huge problem.
And then you gotta look at your window,
Yes.
going to the World Series. You gonna go to the World Series without him? No.
That's what they know.
That's what they know. You're not even gonna make it.
My only counter to that is this year, currently, the Tigers have been given an 18% chance to win the World Series, which is probably second or third, if not the highest odds. If the Tigers won the World Series this year, would you two be okay with then blowing it up and saying, all right, well, we got our one and doing the Florida Marlins?
Wait, this is how real cute. Hey, okay, we win the World Series.
Okay. I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, if out of any of that is, you've got the Dodgers spending more than a lot of teams combined.
I've never seen anything like that.
And they let go of 2 of their 2 most tenured players this week, with Austin Barnes and I think it's Chris Taylor. But
they got 4 $300 million players.
Damn.
That's 4, including the guy that paid $750 million.
Yes.
You know, they might say Tariq School, come on down.
Yeah.
Kershaw about to be out. I mean,
yeah. And they've only won, I think, 2 World Series since 2000.
Yeah.
The Yankees will spend again. So my fear is that if you don't sign him, he's going to go to one of those 2 clubs and be generational.
He gonna go to one of those 2 clubs, and he gonna make sure y'all don't make the playoffs.
Okay, with you, like if Tiger win World Series, whatever, because his justification is going to be, I haven't spent any money in 3 years. We went from never spending money. What I got to spend money for?
Yeah.
Then you will be back to the dregs of the American League.
You'll be dregs with a ring, though.
Yes.
How long does that ring protection last?
Back to back.
Baseball got the least, or got the most amount of, so most different champions in the past. I think
More than football.
Yeah, surprisingly. Well, it's because the Patriots and Chiefs won too many that skewed it a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think baseball is different. When you guys have heard me say this before on the show, but in the NFL, there's no such thing as a window. Just win right now. But I think in baseball, there's obviously windows. And the Tigers is open right now, but it's not. I don't think it's wide open. I think it's just now open.
Yeah.
Spend the money. If they don't win the World Series this year, spend the money, lock Scooble up, figure out the rest of it. But I do not see a scenario where they can pull what the Yankees just pulled, which is have generational player, get the World Series, almost make the World Series, and then and still somehow be better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Tigers are going to be a better baseball team without Scoop. Even if you find 3 or 4 arms, no. I mean, he's an ace. They don't grow on trees.
That's right. I agree with
And
that.
you don't want to be known as someone that develops aces and then sells them off to the highest bidder.
Like Avila. Yeah, I mean, because the Tigers already had that guy. That's Avila. I don't think the fan base, again, short of winning the World Series this year, and that fixing all problems. Even the Tigers are a 100-win team this year. How are you going to justify trading? I mean, at worst, the 3rd best pitcher of the last generation for the Tigers.
Yeah.
I don't know, or not even trading, losing him for nothing because he was being cheap. I think that would do a lot of damage to the brand and the fan base.
I'll let you guys in on a secret. People don't want to come here.
Right.
And if you look at Bregman, and then before that, the guy that signed in Minnesota,
Correa.
Carlos Correa.
Mm-hmm.
These were, I thought, locks within relationships with AJ Hinch. But, and I think, especially with Bregman, Detroit was a better fit. Yeah. Boston is middling around, he's having a great year, but they're middling around 500. And I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be malpractice for them to not lock up Tariq for however many years he wants, for however much money he wants.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Obviously, barring injury, but he's been, he's durable. He's quiet. He's not one of these brash, talks a lot. He just goes out, does his job, gets the dub, and goes home. My theory for why he was balling so tough on Saturday was because he was trying to go movement. So he just said, let me just do all this by myself. I'm gonna get this game done in 2 hours, 15 minutes, and then I can roll on over to Hart Plaza. But yeah, he's generational. He's on another level. I want him to be a Yankee, but I would hope that he stays.
Now.
I would hope that he stays on the Tigers for the foreseeable future.
We are about 2 months away from the Lions versus Chargers at the Hall of Fame game. Now, what I want to ask is this. The Lions took over a couple fields last year on away games where they had more fans. I know Houston was one.
Yep.
Arizona.
Yes.
Which games do you think they could take over? And look at their regular game of the week, first game of the year. They play at Baltimore. I don't think they're taking that.
That's gonna be clutch right there, though.
Bengals, October 5th.
They could take over Cincinnati, especially if Cincinnati's defense plays like we think it could play, which would be bad. They're not taking over Kansas City, but I think they'll have a good.
They'll have a good
I think the
representation.
Lions will have great representation in KC, but that's second round stadium in the league.
Commanders.
I think that's a sneaky one because yes, the Commanders have a ton of fans and diehard fans, but the DMV in general is just a bunch of people from all over. Yeah, I think that's one.
Eagles, that ain't happening. Let's see, then they play the Lions.
LA. Because LA ain't got no fans to begin with.
Yeah. They got the Cowboys coming in. The Vikings. Yeah.
Oh, we got to beat them, man.
Cowboys are here.
Playing the Vikings on Christmas will be.
We got Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We got to beat the
And then you got the Bears
at Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. If they're out of it and we're in it, I can see that.
Oh, they're definitely. Well, I think that might be more even if they're in it. But yeah, I think the Lions fans are gonna want to go yell at Ben and make that week tough for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I'm intrigued. I do think, I know we went through the schedule a bit last week, and I think we settled on around anywhere from 11 and 13. But I think the sky's the limit for the Lions this year, man. I think with what we're talking about with the fan base that travels, every game is going to be a good game. They got a shot in every game. Mm-hmm. That Chiefs game.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a easy. That's not going to be an easy game for the Chiefs playing imagination. Getting Tampa Bay to come in the week after that on Monday night is nice and needed bye week. I've noticed that the Vikings have been putting on a lot of social media stuff with JJ. So they seem to have fully drank the Kool-Aid on JJ McCarthy.
I think it's going to be up and down a year.
For sure. He's going to have some good games, but he's going to have some stinkers. He's going to be asked to do things in this league that he was not asked to do in Michigan very often. Obviously, there were games that JJ won on his own, but I think that is going to be, obviously, it's going to be a transition. The increase, I think, Caleb getting better and Chicago adding a couple more weapons.
Well, what do you think about what Caleb is allegedly said last year about he does not want to come to Chicago?
Well, I think it was pretty obvious that he did not want to be in Chicago, and I think it was pretty obvious, especially based on something that's come out, that Chicago. There are reports that the quarterback coach, wasn't watching film with Caleb. I don't even know how that's a sentence I just said out loud.
Why you allow Eberflus to be extended,
right?
And I don't know, but I don't know if the fans are going to give him a little grief for that.
I mean, I expect them to, but at the same time, Bears fans know they haven't had a good quarterback play ever.
They're the only team, I think, that doesn't have a quarterback that's thrown for 4,000 yards.
And they got Jay Cutler, who throws for 4,000 yards and falling out of bed.
It's the Super Bowl.
It's Rex Grossman got him to the Super Bowl, throwing for 3,200 yards or whatever it was. But I think I think that Chicago fans are savvy enough to recognize that, they have not been a great place for quarterbacks traditionally. Eberflus was a dead man walking, and any quarterback coming in that situation was probably doomed.
And the funny part is we're not talking about since the turn of the century.
We're talking about
We're talking about
ever in the history of the
Has
organization.
had 4,000-yard passer.
Ever.
Right.
Never, ever.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, I'm looking on social media, and the 3 games they talked about Lions takeover were the Chiefs,
I can see it. I can see a scenario where it happens.
the Eagles,
That one.
and the Commanders. I'm like,
Commanders, sure. The Eagles one is not. They're not about to let that happen.
But let me ask this question before we get out of here, because we're making good time today. What games are you excited for?
I'm excited. I was in the Chiefs game, but I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see the Lions go into Lambeau when it's warm, not have to deal with the ice and the frozen tundra.
In the rain, I think the last time.
Yep. I'm excited for the Eagles game. I think that is a possible.
That's prime time game, right?
It's a prime time game, and it's a probable NFC Championship preview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a Sunday night football game. The Commanders game, I want to see how the Lions respond to the disappointment of last season
With a healthy defense.
with a healthy defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm excited for Christmas and Thanksgiving, just because they are Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I was looking at the Athletic put out a list today of like the most anticipated games of the season, and the Lions and Chiefs are the new America's teams because it's basically them, those 2 teams, and the Cowboys and Eagles games dominate that list.
The 2 games I'm not excited for are going to be one. It's got to be the Ravens.
You're not excited that game?
No.
Oh, running quarterback.
And Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But DJ Reader and Talik Williams for that one, because the Ravens have been a terrible matchup for us lately.
Yeah.
And because I have to throw out one, I'm going to say the Rams game.
Yeah, I'm a little. Well, hopefully we don't have to hear all the. Stafford used to be Detroit, but I'm like, dude, we know it's okay. He hasn't been in 3-4 years now.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
He got his Super Bowl.
He's the Brown.
Yeah, it's fine.
Even though going into that game, you had a 10-day layoff because you played the Cowboys on Thursday night. But, still, that game.
I think the game for me is going to be that Commander game. I think everybody in NFL football will be watching that game.
Oh, I'm excited for that one.
I'm excited about that one. But go in with a healthy defense, and you got to have a guy that can be a spy.
Yeah.
Because that kid can run too. He eat you up running.
I think going under the radar, we talk about Hutch coming back, but Derek Barnes is under the radar.
Yeah, for sure.
About a player who can not only rush but defend the run from his linebacker spot. So I think that's going to be one that's going to be very interesting.
Very interesting.
I do think the NFC East stretch essentially is going to be the toughest section of the season for the Lions, though, because you've got
4 games in 5 weeks.
Exactly. You've got week 10. You got to go to DC. The next week you got to turn around and go to Philly for a night game. The week after that you play New York, which is fine, but 4 days after that you have to play the Packers on Thanksgiving, and then you get your week. But then you got the Cowboys.
But the one good thing about that stretch is Giants, Packers, and Cowboys all are at home.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I think that's probably the most difficult stretch, or at least like consecutive weeks stretch. Because there's, obviously there's some tough games on the Lions schedule, but I think it sets up well for them in general. Other than that 5 weeks.
Well, who got the toughest schedule? I think the Lions.
I think the Lions do, and I think that's borne out by the numbers,
What about Philly?
or at least perceived strength of schedule. Obviously, since nobody's
it's high.
played yet.
But you always have to be wary about strength of schedule from last year.
Right.
Because some teams, I'm personally looking at the schedule, Packers might be due for a little drop. Because what did you have? You had 11.
I think the Lions is tied.
You had 11-6, 14-3, and 15-2 within the division.
Right.
So I think, with a harder out of division schedule for everybody, I think the Packers might drop a little bit. The Buccaneers, even though I think they have all 11 players coming back on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, right? The Vikings are probably due for a 14-3. They're not going 14-3.
No.
Based on this CBS Sports link I'm looking at, so it's opponents' combined record and winning percentage from last year. Out of the top 5, there's a couple teams tied. All 4 of the NFC North teams are in the top 5 of strength of schedule. I'm almost certain because they have to play each other twice, and then whatever else they've got.
You got the East.
Yeah, you got the East.
And the
AFC West.
NFC North.
North, that's right, yeah.
And, the Steelers, if they get a quarterback, I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
I don't know. Even if they get that quarterback, I don't
Not the one they looking at.
So, and they're a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa was a playoff team. Green Bay was a playoff team. So there are going to be some of these teams that fall.
Yeah, somebody's got to be worse.
So, you look at strength of schedule and you're just like, okay. That was last year's team.
Yep, exactly.
Last year's team. And you got injuries coming in from all over.
Yep.
My prediction, Lions, I'm going to give them 13-4.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
I think that's like around the
That's
higher
just trying to be
end of
safe.
what I've seen, but
yeah.
That's trying to be safe, 13-4. Oh, so
we know,
15-2.
But I think
we know you Nostradamus out here.
we say the Lions have to play the NFC East, but the NFC East has to play the NFC North.
They trapped in here with
So they're going to take some hits on that too. The South or the West. Maybe a chance of one other coming out of the West, but
it's probably the East.
yeah, it's probably going to be the East that has 2.
Philly and
Maybe
Washington.
3, yeah.
I don't think the Cowboys do nothing.
I don't even, but it's all
Straight
predictions. I don't see Cowboys.
I don't see it. And even if they do make the playoffs, I ain't worried about the Cowboys playoffs.
But
Not Dak Prescott.
this is we say
Here we go.
We say as we say all the time. This hour and 15 minutes goes by faster. Q had his own mic shut off. This hour 15 minutes goes by quicker than anything I know.
That's right.
And we've had a great show today. We got all of our stuff in, talking about the Lions, the Pistons, and Tigers.
Oh my.
No Red Wings, so hey. So until next week, it's James Wardell signing out.
Good night, Detroit.
Good night, Detroit.
Good night, Detroit.
Oh, good show.
Yeah.
Mason Graham got a fully guaranteed deal.
That's good.
for him. Hey, Dylan Gabriel is playing really badly at OTAs already.
Well,
Well,
I feel for him.
I do feel for him.
They never should have drafted him as their